Okay, this is the removal and reinstallation of the Mark 7 servo for the LAVC 2000 D2 anesthesia machine. For demonstration purposes, the machine that we're working on is a LAVC 2000D, but everything is exactly the same. The process will be exactly the same for you. First off, you need to disconnect the machine from the oxygen source on the wall. So please disconnect the wall line before proceeding and make sure that the pressure on the gauge reads 0. So disconnect the hose from the wall and check to see that the gauge reads 0 like seen here. Now we can proceed with the removal of the servo. So first we are going to remove the oxygen supply hose from the top of the servo using the wrench provided. Loosen the nut on the hose and leave it in place. Now you need to remove the fittings from the side of the Mark 7. There's a large fitting that twists and will pull out, and the small fitting will also twist and pull out, and leave them aside. Your Mark 7 on that machine may have a different connection. It may connect here rather than the side. This doesn't make any difference for operation. Just connect it to the corresponding place. One small fitting and one large fitting. Next, you will need to disconnect the hoses from the back of the machine where the quick connects are. So disconnect one and then disconnect the other. So they are completely disconnected. On the 2000 D2 that you have, you will need to pull the hoses through the plate to fully remove the machine. You can do this now, or you can do this after you've removed the servo. Now the only thing holding the servo on are the two bolts, and using the Allen key provided, loosen the two bolts. And make sure you're holding the Mark 7 when you remove the last bolt, because it will come off and you do not want it to fall. So please place a hand underneath it or holding it somehow so that it does not fall off and damage the green box. There are two washers on the bolts, nylon washers that you see here that need to be taken off and put back on, so you can leave them on the bolts. Before reinstalling. Now to reinstall, you'll do the same process in reverse. Place the Mark unit on the machine and secure with the bolts, making sure that the washers are on, and then that the bolts go in straight. Connect the hoses to the side of the machine. Connect the quick connect hoses. And the oxygen supply hose. Which you can secure with a wrench. And then you are able to plug the machine back into the oxygen and make sure that the oxygen pressure on the gauge reads between 50 and 60. If it reads any higher or lower, you can adjust with the regulator like we showed you when we were there. So once it's between 50 and 60, then you can turn the servo on using the rotary valve. The valve on the machine now has a handle here, but you can use the rotary valve In this position, it is off, and in this position, it is on. The line indicates the flow of gas. So this is on, and this is off. So you can then turn it on and do a pressure check like we had demonstrated when we were there.